Nation Live. I'm James Owen.
I'm Sanders Tisdale.
And tonight we have a lot to talk about. We always have a lot to talk about on Steel Nation Live. We're going to update the score last game. Steelers start the season 2-0. We have a special guest stopping by the Steel Nation Live studio tonight, Marquise Ogden, and everything else in the NFL. Key injuries to teams, star players. We'll run that down for you too when we return with Steeler Nation Live.
Hey guys, welcome back. Still a Nation Live. Like he said, James Owen, Sanders Tisdale. Like we said, we're going to talk about a huge win. Pittsburgh 2-0. The Steelers out there doing it again. You got to be in love with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know a lot of you other guys out there who are struggling, and we were, so we're used to it, so we can give the digs because we have to take it from time to time. But one thing I will say is, James, I'm kind of glad of what I've seen from Pittsburgh so far this season. You know, the points aren't there yet, but I gotta believe, James, it's going to get better.
Well, even with our 2-0 record, we're not really that explosive on offense. But what I'm liking, what I'm seeing with the way the projection, the way the Pittsburgh Steelers are going, the offense a little slow out of the gate. But what intrigues me the most is that how everybody, all the so-called experts, had us at the bottom of the division. Well, right now everybody's at the bottom of the division, looking up to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're undefeated in division. The Baltimore Ravens, who were predicted to take over this division way early, are 0-2. Everybody else is 0-2. Well, not everybody else. Well, the Ravens 0-2. The Bengals 0-2. The Browns are 1-1 in second place, the game behind the Pittsburgh Steelers. But you know what? It's early, okay? I'd rather be on this side of the coin, folks at home, with a 2-0 record. It wasn't like we got lucky and these two wins. We got these two wins through hard-fought defense and an offense that's trying to find its identity. And you're not going to win too many games without an identity. And when the Steelers' offensive line is starting to gel, we have somewhat of a running game. We have a quarterback who does not hold on to the ball as usual. He's not throwing the ball away. We're not turning the ball over. We have, it's kind of calm offensive scheme we got going. We're not doing all those 3-and-outs. We're not scoring touchdowns, but you know what? They'll come.
Oh, yeah.
But we just have to be patient. And me and Sanders talked offline about this, and I look at it as like, yeah, a lot of fans are uneasy right now. A lot of so-called fans are upset with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know what they're waiting on, okay? The Pittsburgh Steelers offense, we're not scoring points, but however, we're controlling the clock. We're not turning the ball over. And once we get rid of those stupid penalties, well, I would have to say half are our fault, but the other half, we talk for days. And, folks, your team, if you're not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and your team is getting screwed by NFL officials, we want to hear from you. Call us up, 585-210-3917. The phone line is 585-210-3917. We want to hear from you. What's going on with your team? And before we forget, Sanders, we'll talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and their latest victory over the Broncos. It's really not that exciting win. Every win is good, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about what's going around in the NFL. We'll start off with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
We'll start off with the Cowboys.
If you're a Cowboy fan out there, and I know the Cowboys, they have their little areas where, the pockets of, people who don't think, well, I hang out, but those guys, they had a rough weekend, and boy, did they have a rough weekend. It was so bad that a lot of Cowboy fans either shut off their phones or basically they just went silent or basically kind of hiding out, James. But the thing about it is that the Cowboys right now, they're at that point to where one time I thought I would see the Steelers at, a team that was able to score and do things, but our defense still needed some time to grow. The Cowboys right now, I don't know if they got problems offensively because they can score points from time to time.
Oh, sure.
I will say that. But the problem with the Cowboys is that they have no defensive prowess. And right now, you're giving out money to your quarterbacks. You're giving out money to your receivers. Pay the guys up front. Pay your defense. And right now, the Cowboys they're going to be on the hard end of a short stick at the end of a quick season for the Cowboys, which means you're going to be stuck with it for a while because you guys paid all your money away. Because if you got empty pockets, James, you can't fill them. You know what I mean? It's hard to fill them. It takes time.
Yeah, the one thing, or the Cowboys have a couple things going for them. They're always in the game. They can always come back. They have a nice offensive scheme, but you cannot keep on relying on every game that, you know what, we'll score points. We scored points before. We'll continue to score points. Is the price tag for the Dallas Cowboys just a little bit too high? Because down the road, I mean, this is not a team that looks like it's going to win it all this year. Because just because you put money into the team doesn't mean anything. Look at what you put on the field. I mean, the Saints, no slouch of a team right there. Saints are 2-0. They have a high-powered offense too, and you can't play a team like the Saints and play catch-up. So, I mean, what's it going to take for the Dallas Cowboys to turn this around? It's early, all right?
Yep.
But you see, it's early for us too. So you can't say, well, it's one game, whatever. But we're 2-0. I mean, our offense isn't that potent. I mean, we're not the kind of offense right now that can come back from a lead like that. And we talked about it last season that's not how the makeup of this offense is. The makeup of this offense is to get ahead and control the ball. That's it. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have a hard time because the philosophy of their offense is ground and pound now. We're going to run the ball. We're going to control the clock, and we're going to put points on the board. Unfortunately, the points we've been putting up on the board are field goals. And you know what I say about field goals, Sanders?
What's that?
It's like kissing your sister. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. You don't win ball games by kicking field goals. Fortunately for us, we did in the first game with the Wizard of Boz with his 6 field goals. And we finally scored a touchdown last game against the Broncos. Darnell Washington finally got a touchdown. Those big hands, that guy. I mean, they need to put him more involved in the offense. You get him in there and Freiermuth on the other side. I mean, we're in a running game. Now, Najee Harris, I'm wearing his jersey 22 because I have all the faith in him. Got to be patient. The offensive line has come together like little mistakes. We're going to talk about Broderick Jones later on in the show. I know there's a lot of frustrated people out there.
Yep.
Gave up a couple big plays due to penalties. I think they were picking on him, Sanders.
I mean, that's the way it seems to me. But
that holding penalty was just ridiculous.
There's holding on every play, like they say. It's just he was getting signaled out a lot. And, yeah, a couple of holding plays that he did have, it was holding far as I can see. But the one that they actually called him on when it cost us a 51-yard play, that was definitely not holding. He tugged at the guy's jersey at that point. But you know what? It's a part of football. The call was made. You got to go forward. And it so ends up Steelers are what? 2-0.
2-0.
They're on the cusp of trying to become 3-0, but now they have a huge task coming up with them this Sunday versus the LA Chargers. I'm going to say San Diego Chargers. LA Chargers.
They're San Diego Chargers.
Yeah,
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Right. But anyway, the score in the game was 13-6. I know a lot of people like that. You like to see high scoring stuff, but I love to see the defense play because that means we have somebody that can keep us in games. That's what the Steelers always need, especially with 2 young quarterbacks. And a lot of people, we talked about this offline, a lot of people in these little rooms or chats or whatever you're going to call them, they all, Pittsburgh this, Pittsburgh that, blah, blah, blah. And this is your own guys. You know what I mean? This is people who call themselves Pittsburgh Steelers lovers, complaining. I'm like, look, we got a new young team. We got a new offensive coordinator. We got a rebuilt line. We got this. We got that over the last 2 seasons. I mean, we got huge draft choices that's already playing, not just coming in and out. They're playing. They're starters. I mean, come on. This right here, this team right now here is poised to be good, and not just good for this year or next year. They're poised to be good for a long time. And the way the Steelers right now have things, they've even got guys on the defense who are integral parts of coming off the bench and coming in and filling in almost like starters. So right now, you're seeing the cusp of what could possibly be a good defense in Pittsburgh coming for a while. So you guys be ready. But, one of the things we also wanted to talk about as well, James, I'm going to let James get to the injuries that's out there. And we got to talk about them. There are a lot of people out there that have been affected by injuries. Right now, I'm crossing our fingers. The Steelers did have some injuries at the beginning of the season, but right now, James, it's to the part of the season where a lot of people are starting to rack them up around the NFL.
Yeah. We're staying predominantly healthy. The Pittsburgh Steelers are. We lost our punter, and then we got a new punter, and he's filling in just admirably. He just got to work on, getting the ball inside the 20 and not kicking it out of the end zone. He's got a great foot. But for fantasy purposes, I guess you could pay attention to this. I mean, or because there's a lot of key injuries to teams around the NFL. We'll start off in Miami with Tua and his concussion. We'll talk about that. I mean, Sanders, 3. I mean, I thought I could be. They're saying 3. I think he had 3 last year, or in his career. And if you're watching a monitor at home, you're watching this on TV, that's just horrible. And if you watch the game last week when he had his concussion against the Buffalo Bills, he did that contorted. His hand was the same way. I think there's more neurologically wrong with Tua, and I think I'm sorry, Dolphin fans. I mean, I think it's time for him to hang up the cleats. I think it's time, and it's unfortunate because we're going to end up with a junior Seau.
CTE, all kinds of stuff.
And that's just horrible. Also, other injuries around the league. We have Jordan Love. I picked him in fantasy for Green Bay Packers. He was available during my draft, and he got hurt the first game, and he's looking to get back in a couple of weeks. Who else we got? Running backs, 49ers, McCaffrey. But the thing about that is Jordan Watson, who just came up, nowhere, never heard of this guy before. He's filling in admirably. I mean, last game, unfortunately, the 49ers lost. We're waiting for San Fran Steve to maybe call in. They lost to the Vikings by a touchdown, but he's come in. He's over 100 yards and a touchdown there. Ty J. Spears for the Titans, ankle. Marshawn Lloyd, Green Bay Packers, ankle. Tank Rugsby, Jaguars, shoulder. Big injury in Kansas City, Pacheco, but it doesn't matter. Mahomes could get injured, and the Chiefs will still win. Because why? They have people on their side, and we know they wear black and white striped shirts. Joe Mixon, Texans, ankle injury, running back, wide receiver, Justin Jefferson. Cooper Kupp hits the IR again. Puka Nuka, who filled in admirably for Cooper Kupp last season, he's out. Deebo Samuels, wide receiver for 49ers, he's out as well. And the list comes on. A.J. Brown, he sat out the game last night, the Eagles game. We're going to talk about that in a second. David Bell for the Browns, hip, he's on the IR. Evan Engram, Jaguars tight end, hamstring. Taysom Hill, Saints tight end, he's out. And kicker Graham Gano, Giants, hamstring injury, he's done for the year. I mean, it's just unfortunate and very fortunate for the Pittsburgh Steelers that we lost their punter, but we were able to regain another punter who's just as good, if maybe not better. He can kick field goals as well. But the injury bug is out there, and we talked about this offline, Sanders. Do you think that they're holding these players out because of a longer season? They don't want them, because we've seen players before tough it out for the first 4 or 5 games, and then the last part of the season they're done because of injuries. Do you think that because it's so early in the season that they may be able to rest these players and get them really healthy for the middle and the end of the season?
I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, we talked about that. You look at a lot of players. Now the game went from 17 first year last year to 17 from 16 to 17. And now you got guys who don't have that long off season now, because now that extends the end of the season going further and further. So now you got guys out there who got these nagging injuries. They're trying to get through them, and then they go into the next season still not 100% healthy. Good example of that is Broderick Jones for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And a lot of what I see with Broderick is that he has an injury. The season just started. I mean, it was the first game of the year, and he already had his arm wrapped. And so I think these longer seasons, James, I believe that they're going to cause issues for players going down the line. I don't know how you're going to rectify it. I know people love to see football, but the fact is those longer seasons, now you're going to be dealing with injuries. That's going to be lingering into next season. And as you can see now, early on in the season, we already got a multitude of top level guys already hurt or are hurt, and the season hasn't really started. So it's got to be something going on, James. And like you said, it could be a possibility that they are putting them out or having them sit out. So,
yeah. So with that being said, let's talk about some game stats for the Broncos and the Steelers. Steelers up, obviously 13-6, not a huge scoring game. I mean, by far, but it wasn't like one of those boring games where, I mean, it was tough to watch, not because it was boring, it's because you were waiting for that big breakout play. And then once it happens, then there's more laundry on the field than Sunday morning in your house in your basement doing laundry. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, like we talked earlier, coming out, nothing explosive yet. But I tell you what, I fear the day for the opposing team when Pittsburgh Steelers finally unleashes that offense. Just little baby steps. But anyways, for the total yards for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 251 total yards, 295 for the Broncos. Penalties killed us, but not as bad as the Broncos. Broncos, 9 penalties for 124 yards. Woo. The Steelers, 10 penalties for 78 yards. And here's the key. No turnovers. We didn't put the ball on the ground, and they didn't give up the interception. And I think the defense saving the offense, and the offense doing what they're doing to get by, putting some points on the board, but in holding other teams off the scoreboard and, converting turnovers and producing turnovers, that's very helpful to the offense. The time of possession for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 32 minutes out of, it's half the game right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we always talk about possession, time of possession, controlling the ball, controlling the game, how we're dictating this, directing the game. Justin Fields, 13 for 20. He only threw the ball 20 times. And why? Because we're converting third downs. We're running the ball effectively, but not to the point where we're blowing other teams out. We're controlling the clock, and the offense is running at a slow pace, but it's running in the right directions. Bo Nix, rookie quarterback for the Denver Broncos from Oregon. He just came back to Pittsburgh Steelers in the past, 10 games? I think it's 10 games. The Steelers are 8-2 against rookie quarterbacks. Justin Fields, 13 for 20 for 117 yards and a touchdown to Darnell Washington tight end. Bo Nix, 20 for 35, 246 yards, 2 interceptions. And that will kill you. We found that the hard way last season. Jaylen Warren, 9 carries, 42 yards. Najee Harris, 17 carries for 69 yards. It still hasn't broken the 100-yard mark, but folks, 2 games into the season, you can't expect much. I mean, Freiermuth, 4 catches, 39 yards, and Pickens, 2 catches for 29 yards. And they all had a couple. Van Jefferson had that one long catch overturned by a penalty, and it really wasn't anything going on too much for the Broncos side. The 2 field goals. I mean, where are you going with that? But still, we keep on saying, on a positive note, we're winning. Yep. Okay. We talked about that. I'd rather be on this side of the coin, figure out what do we have to do to enhance this offense to put more power and make it more explosive, 2-0 than 0-2. And then the conversation is Tomlin's got to be fired. Arthur Smith's got to be fired. Whatever.
That's what I mean about these rooms.
You can't please everybody.
Yeah. And another thing that here's out there that I wanted to talk about as well today is the fact of the Pittsburgh. We all know last season, Kenny Pickett traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. He's out there with the Eagles backing up Jalen Hurts. Now you come in, you bring 2 quarterbacks in, 2 capable quarterbacks.
Very capable.
Now one gets hurt. Now you end up with Justin Fields, and Justin Fields, to me, I thought at first it would be so hard for him to assimilate to what the Pittsburgh Steelers wanted him to do. But the question is, if he does well, should the Pittsburgh Steelers ever contemplate going back to Russell Wilson? I mean, James, that's a question I want to know. Should the Steelers possibly give Russell that shot, or should the Steelers put him out there as trade bait? I don't know what they should do at this point. I mean, you got Justin, who's doing well right now, but the Steelers right now also know, and they're kind of weighing their options, and they have to, because the more Justin plays is the more the Steelers are apt to have to give up that number. I think it was number 4 draft for next year. I think it was that they had gotten for Justin. It was something equivalent to that.
Yeah.
So that's why the Steelers are so tricky. And that's why I really thought that Russell Wilson would start the majority of the season, because it was based upon how much of the season that Justin would play. So, and right now it looks like that he might get the majority of it. I don't know.
Well, you're looking from a box office, front office perspective. What could we give up, or what are we going to give up, or what do we have to give up? Certain different scenarios, like you just said, if he plays so many games, if he takes so many snaps, what do we have to give up for him? But the thing right now is you have something that's working. All right. It's not the best, but it's working. So what I would do is I would keep Justin Fields in there until it's not working. I mean, it's common sense, because you don't want to get an offense going in the Fields direction, knowing, okay, if I'm not open, he's going to run with it. So I have to, be aware and block downfield. Or if he's going to, do a different route, if he's checking down on me and if I'm open, what am I going to do? You have to get on the same sheet of music with your quarterback. And if Russell Wilson is not mobile, right, with his calf injury, why are we going to rush him in there? If we're not winning, we're not scoring points, but we're winning. But if we weren't winning on the other side and the offense is just lethargic like it is now and just barely making it, I think a quarterback change would to shake up the team. But right now we're like I said, we're gradually going in the right direction, and it's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen. The team is going to explode. And I don't know, I can't remember if we're playing the Panthers this year, but that would be a perfect game. But you say it all the time, Sanders, and it's true that we always play down to our competition. So I think the tougher the opponent we play, the better the Pittsburgh Steelers play, because we have to. And our schedule isn't it's no slouch. Oh, yeah. So after our bye week, it's just like you might be saying bye to victories, bye to wins, because the schedule after the ninth week, the bye week is horrible. Oh, yeah. At least for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Guys, another question I wanted to ask out there right now for you guys. Pittsburgh Steelers fans, 2-0, leading the division, and look like they have, James, at least a top 5 defense out there. A top 5 defense, and a top 5 defense that can get better as they backfill with the players that's coming in behind the starters. I mean, this is crazy. This is how good that defense is getting. It's almost making me think, James, Pittsburgh Steelers of old, these tough guys that we got right now coming in. And of course, we know our stars for the Steelers. There they are on the screen. Those guys always put out every game, even our secondary. And like we said, we got guys number 20, guys backfilling. These are the things that Pittsburgh Steelers always miss. And it makes you think of shades of the old school Pittsburgh Steelers. Curtain. And the thing about it is, James, do you think these Pittsburgh Steelers right now are a top 5 defense? A top 5 tough defense that could possibly hit number 1 sometime during the season. I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts out there? Right on the board if you want to as well. You know what? We're kind of making the show move along, because we also have a guest that's coming on at 6:30, just to let you guys know, so you stay tuned for our guest. But James, what is your thoughts on there with our defense?
Well, I'm telling you, we're a hybrid. We're a hybrid team of the steel curtain. It's more fast-paced, more stunts, all this stuff's going on. But what kills the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is these untimely penalties. And something's got to be done with that. And I'm talking about penalties to us, but I'm talking more though is the penalties that are not called on the offensive line. The TJ Watt is being held every play. Everybody's being held, but the timing of these plays are ridiculous. And there was an article I read today. I was just telling Sanders offline about a retired NFL referee who was trying to explain why TJ Watt doesn't get the holding penalties that he should be getting. And he even agreed that, yes, he's pretty much getting held on every play. It's just his technique that TJ Watt has when he's attacking the quarterback, when he dips and he flips and he spins or whatever, that the height of his body compared to the defensive end is basically what he was saying is that he's holding himself, that he's putting himself in that position to be held. All right. So call the holding penalty. I don't know what's going on with this. And it just seems to me when you're trying to defend yourself over some crazy stuff like that, it makes you wonder, what is really going on in the trenches with these referees. And I've been seeing that certain players are being singled out by referees. And I'll go back to the Kansas City Ravens game where the one player for the Ravens was constantly being called from being out of position. And then they compared the way the Chiefs were lining up as the Ravens were, and it was like almost the same thing, and no penalties. Plus the offensive tackle for the Chiefs was false starting every play. He was in a backfield before Mahomes would get the ball. And I just don't get it. And while we're on the tangent of the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's just Mahomes' last 17 interceptions, you can fact check it. His last 17 interceptions were overturned by penalties. What does that tell you? I mean, that's a stat that no quarterback wants to have. But look it up. Patrick Mahomes' last 17 interceptions were overturned by penalties on the defense. So just a little sidebar.
That's interesting. I gotta look that up, and I think you did, and I want to double check that because that's a stat right there. It almost reminds me of Shady Brady back in the day.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like a competition. I mean, who can get over on the refs more, Brady, or they should have a competition? Compare the stats. How many calls did Brady get compared to Mahomes? And
I don't know. The Tuck rule was ridiculous.
It's just crazy. So let's talk about the Eagles game last night. If you all stayed up and watch it, I kind of did. I went to bed right before the Eagles kicked the field goal, and I woke up this morning thinking, checking the fantasy, checking, who won and all this stuff. And I saw the score that it looked as though that the Falcons beat the Eagles. And I'm like, that's got to be wrong. That's got to be a mistake, because when you go up against a team, you're winning, right? And they have no timeouts left. You have total control of the game. All you have to do is run the ball, run the clock down as far as you can, kick the field goal. So now they got to score a touchdown. Got it. So I go, this game's over, going to bed, wake up. And it's just like, I had to check 3-4 different sources to make sure that what I was seeing was correct. Atlanta Falcons came back and won that game. How does that happen? And like we were saying before the show, Sanders, it reminded me watching the highlights of when the Bills lost to the Chiefs, how they came down, 13 seconds? Was that the thing? How they came down 13 seconds, scored a touchdown, won the game in the same fashion. And I don't understand, who do we blame on that? Do we blame the head coach? Do we blame the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator? Who gets the blame for that?
Yeah, you got a point there. I got to give it to the defensive coordinator, to be honest.
I mean, can you imagine at home too?
Yeah,
at home. Imagine being a fan there. You just pounded a Philly cheesesteak. Your team is winning. You're up there in the stands. You're doing your bird thing, and you got the game in the bag. And I know we all make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
But come on. That is like the worst coaching I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
How do you throw the ball when they have no timeouts left? And you still have downs to kneel it, and you kick the field. I don't know, Sanders.
It makes no sense. But the thing about it is, with the like you said earlier, you talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the fact of their running back Najee having like 69 yards, and he had 70 yards a game before. But the thing about it is that offensive line is starting to find itself. That's what it did last season. They started finding themselves late. But I think what the problem is right now is they still got some pieces that are out, and they also have some pieces such as the young man here, Broderick Jones. A lot of people have been talking about Broderick Jones, this guy who we thought was going to be this stellar offensive lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. Started getting well from the midseason to the end of the season. All of a sudden now he goes back to struggling. James, what is your thoughts on the problem with Broderick Jones? I still believe he can be a phenomenal offensive lineman. And the problem is just right now, he's just like you said, he's getting kind of signaled out. Or if you're holding, that means you need to be moving your feet better. But the problem is right now, he's young and he has to learn, but he has to mature up here as well. And the problem is he's not maturing at this point right now. He did great last year. At the end of last year, he did phenomenal. This guy was coming up with This guy was smacking down people. This guy was laying guys on their back. This guy was making holes. Now all of a sudden this year it starts to struggle. But I kind of, and much as I myself like Tomlin, I blame Tomlin a little bit for moving him from left tackle to right tackle. So that was the problem right there, I think. And now you got a guy learning another position. Granted, they're both the same position, but a side is flipped. But you never can really guess how much that affects a guy's game when he's so used to playing on one side. James, guys, right up on the board as well. Give me your thoughts on Broderick Jones. Is he a bust? Is it just right now he's just a guy that's struggling? James, what is your thoughts?
Well, here's my thought. And we have hopefully Marquise Ogden, former NFL offensive lineman, will be coming in. He's got a couple books out there. He's got a podcast. He's a motivational speaker. He does it all. Entrepreneur. This guy, was an NFL player. If you don't know the story behind Marquise Ogden, he was an NFL player, had a lot of money, lost it all, was broke on the street, and he came back. So we got a caller on the phone line right now.
Hey, welcome to Steeler Nation Live. Who do we have on the line?
This is Marcus Ogden, man.
Hey, Marquise, we were just talking about you. I don't know if you're listening to the show. We were hoping that we get video on you because you're such a handsome fellow. You're such a great looking guy. You could enhance this show a little bit more, but you know what? I guess we'll just have to, wait for you to come on again, video. But thank you for taking time out to come on Steeler Nation Live, Marquise Ogden. Just a little background.
What's going on? How you doing? All right?
Oh, we're doing good. We're just trying to pimp you out here. And we're just telling the backstory of you just a little bit to our listeners out there. You know how you played in the NFL, you made lots of money. Unfortunately, you lost a lot of money, but you didn't give up. You didn't give. We'll let you tell your little story there in a second, but just throw a little background down there. You turn your life around. For the better. You started getting money again. You got a couple books out there. We're going to talk about that. Sleepless Nights and the Success Cycle, motivational speaker, and podcast. And perfect timing, Marquise, because offensive lineman. You've been through a couple teams, so you've been coached very well. You're an outstanding player. So we have Marquise Ogden on the team, on the show. But Broderick Jones, offensive tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers, drafted in first round last year. Okay. And as an offensive lineman, when is it too soon to I don't want to say give up on the player and move? You're the offensive guy. What would you do? I mean, what happens?
So here's the thing, right? When you got a young tackle in the NFL who is struggling and is not performing the way you'd like him to perform at a high level, a lot of times people want to move him around and kind of find that sweet spot for him. But the problem is when you do that, it can really shake the confidence, especially of a young player that is having those type of struggles, or it could have like a mindset block. So again, I know what they're trying to do, and I get their point and their perspective, but sometimes you do those things and it could be a little bit early. And I'm not saying it's the case with him in that regard, but again, it's really hard when you're trying to, bring that camaraderie and you're trying to like really gel the offensive line, where you move guys around a lot and you don't have a place for them to really perform and stay. It really does mess up the continuity of the line from a timing perspective and, getting to know each other perspective. And then, like my brother got to play with Edwin Mulatalo for years in Baltimore. So they got to know each other really well. John, I think it really helped Edwin out of a lot of situations and vice versa. The trust factor was there. So there's a lot of things. It's just like in business, right? When you're working with somebody for a long time, you get to know them, their tendencies, how they move, what they do. Same thing in football. So you got to be very careful in that. But again, like I said, I understand what the Steelers are trying to do, but it can sometimes backfire if you do it too soon.
So let me ask you this question, Marcus. So do you think, because Broderick was a first-round pick, do you think that they slid him from the left to the right to save face and, that just to show that he wasn't a bust in a first-round pick? Because people don't understand, they're offensive tackles, but the left side has a different job from the right side.
So yeah, what they're trying to do is, instead of just like, benching him or saying he didn't work out at left tackle, yeah, you can take a player from left to right and you move him over, because right tackle is, especially it depends. If you have a right-handed quarterback, right tackle is usually easier to block against a defense, because usually they put the best rusher at the blind side, the right defensive end spot. And the left tackle has to deal with that, because a quarterback can't see when he just beat the guy in front of him, and it's a lot more opportunity to get sacks, in that regard, right? But then the NFL is also changing, right? Because you have guys like Von Miller that plays on left defensive end. You got guys like Myles Garrett who will play at left defensive end. I mean, TJ Watt has made a phenomenal career playing left defensive end. So again, even though it's like they're trying to say, okay, well, he's not working out that great, let's move him. It's, again, man, like I said, in today's NFL, it's not the same as it once was. So teams are mixing up play. I mean, look at Micah Parsons in Dallas. I mean, like, he's moving all around. He goes to left end, right end. He goes down into sometimes 3 technique, and he'll put him at backer and then blitz him off the B gap. So the NFL is changing, in that regard. So like when we play, usually had your best rusher at right defensive end. That's kind of how it was. But today they do a lot of things because they know there's a lot of different things happening, and they're always trying to make the best adjustments, possible.
Wow. I like that. I want to also find out from you, there's people out here who watching the broadcast now. Just give them a quick synopsis about who you are, where you came from, what you're doing now, because we want everyone to know that. And also, we're going to be flashing some of your books up on the screen as well, of some of the things you've done.
Yeah, man. So I'm from Washington, D.C. I played in the National Football League for almost 6 seasons. I played with the Jaguars, Ravens, Bills, finished up with the Titans where I hurt my back. I got into construction, built a massive, multiple 8-figure a year construction company, a little over $20 million a year in revenue. But unfortunately, I lost it all and went bankrupt and broke in 2013. Moved to Raleigh, North Carolina in 2013, April. I got into some jobs. I got hired from 2 jobs in the same week.
Wow.
I was a custodian working in downtown Raleigh for $8.25 an hour. I finally hit what I call my J.K. Rowling rock bottom moment as a custodian, where somebody's trash and rotten meat and nasty protruding garbage got all over me. And that was my wake-up call. And that's what started me on my journey to speaking and wanting to coach and wanting to help people. And that really helped me to get my trajectory going. I then became an author of 4 best-selling books. 2 I wrote by myself, which was amazing and really blessed and fortunate. And then unfortunately, I got divorced about 2.5 years ago. I filed for divorce, and I had to move into a really crappy, broken down apartment, and it's been like a failure and a fraud and a phony. And then I got my life together, and then I bought my dream home May of last year. And now I'm doing very well. I bounced back. I have great people around me. I'm all about my friends. Anytime you guys ask to come to the show, I'm always willing to do it, because you guys were always been around me since the last couple of years, at least 4 or 5. And so I'm always willing to support people that support me, for speaking or our brand or our book. So I really got back to me and who I am and what I'm about. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing now, man. But I'm very fortunate that people know our brand of speaking or coaching or consulting or our podcast, Get Authentic with Marcus Ogden. We have an app, the Marcus Ogden app, where you can download the app, Apple or Android store, completely free, and get great content around, inspiration or leadership or culture or discussions, right? So really, truly, guys, it's very fortunate that so many people like what we're doing at this point in my career.
Yeah, and that's what Steel Nation Live likes to bring to our fans. That's the kind of fan base that we want, that we love.
Oh, yeah.
The fans that follow us at Steel Nation Live, I can't tell you how many people follow us and listen to our shows constantly every season. And that's what we look for. We can have pretty much anybody on the show, but what we want to do out there, Marquise, is we want to promote, not promote, but we want to, let the Steeler fans know who's associated with Steeler Nation Live, the character, the integrity, the loyalty, the honesty that individuals like you bring to our show. And unfortunately, people don't have the opportunity to know who, like guys like you, Marquise Ogden, and what your story is and what you're about. You're not just some high priced football player who did his money well, and he played the stock market and everything. You had it, you lost it, you could have lost everything. I mean, we know what we're talking about here, but you didn't, and you turned your life around and for the better. And not only did you help yourself, Marquise, you just imagine the hundreds of thousands of people that you reach on a daily basis that you've helped. And unfortunately, they can't, thank you personally. So we like to, bring you on the show because you're fantastic. You're an awesome. You're a great guy. You are. You're a gentleman and a scholar, and we appreciate you coming on the show, taking your time. But that's what we're about. And having guys like you on the show, Marquise, we can't thank you enough.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, again, right? It's all about taking care of people that take care of you. It's all about remembering people that were there for you. And no matter, our brand does a lot of great stuff. I got 6 speaking jobs alone in October. I'm in Philadelphia, then Jacksonville, Florida, then Houston, Texas, Las Vegas, Dover, Delaware, and then Destin, Florida. And we've been very fortunate. People love what we're doing, work on some big stuff for next year, all these great contracts. And we're looking to do a mindset community to help people get access to content they can't afford, high ticket, coaching or speaking. But it doesn't matter how great our brand gets. I'm still the same guy, right? I built a big company with Caden, lost all because of my ego. The one thing I'll never do again is become really, really successful and then forget where I came from, forget people that supported me, forget my friends. So anytime you all want me on the show, it works for my schedule, I'm there. Right? That's just how you not only build something, that's how you maintain something as well.
That is true. That's true. And he's right about that, guys out there listening. And one thing I do like about what you said is, we had somebody wrote on the board, they said, what a testimony. And it is. And that goes to show your story right there goes to show was you got some younger guys that probably watch the show and they sit there and they say, you know what? I want to be a football player. I want to be this. I want to be that. But there's also the other side of it, like you said, to where you get this monumental mass of money and you forget where you came from. And then when you forget where you came from, God has this funny way of bringing you back to, remind you where you came from. And that right there, that was a powerful testimony, brother. And a lot of people are hearing that. So I love the way you keep that going.
Yeah, you have to, man. You can't forget where you came from. You can't forget like I said, we're doing all kinds of stuff like MSN or Forbes or USA Today, like all these brands. And it's amazing. It's great. But you can't forget the people that, like you guys had me on the show when nobody was wanting our brand on anything. No articles, no TV. I'm doing right now News Nation. I go on there as a regular sports, contributor. Like,
nice.
But you guys are giving me opportunity before that. I was on America Tonight out of, Minnesota, which has got a huge platform, and a following. I was on there last week, but again, you guys were allowing me on the show, but way before that. So again, doesn't matter what people are doing for me now. It matters about who was there for me back then. So again, like with my clients, I tell you that's why I'm charging a lot more for my coaching, for my speaking, but people that signed on with me early years ago, it's the same pricing. I don't increase my pricing for my current clients. They're either grandfather or grandmother again. Like that's just how I treat people. And if more people thought like that, I feel we have a much better business world. But everybody's not like me, so I can't tell you how to run your business. Do what you do. That's just where it is.
But what we have to do, our next goal, Marquise, and I think we talked about this a couple of conversations ago before you were on the show. We need to get you up in Rochester. We need to get you put some money in that pocket. Probably somewhere down in the middle of winter time, because I know how much you love the snow. And
of course, absolutely.
And we would love, honestly, this is true story. We would love to get you up here to hang out with you and have actual sit down face to face with you over a garbage plate or something famous here in Rochester that we're famous for. Food wise, would take you around the town and, show you a good time. But I know how busy you are, but that's something in the future.
Yeah, but again, man, that's something I can look to work to make out with my schedule. And like I said, man, I'm all about, building that relationship. So
for sure.
If my schedule opens up, I'd love to come up and do that. So, you guys know where to find me. My phone number hasn't changed. So just reach out to me, let me know what's going on, and we'll go from there.
Oh, absolutely. So folks, if you're just tuning in, Marquise Ogden on the phone. We want to do video, but I guess he's too good looking to be on a video for right now. But Marquise Ogden, former NFL player, played for a bunch of teams with the Howard University. Great school. Great person. I'm telling you, you can't get any better than this. Author, a couple books. He speaks. He's a motivational speaker. He does it all. Entrepreneur. And before we let you go, Marquise, and if the fans out there weren't listening to the teams that you played for, you ran off, and one of them was those Baltimore Ravens. So I'd be amiss if I didn't bring this up. Okay, the Baltimore Ravens were predicted. I know it's early. Predicted to take over division, AFC North. They're 0-2 right now. Where do you see the Baltimore Ravens going from here, going on forward?
The Baltimore Ravens need to get back to basic smash mouth football. They got Derrick Henry in that backfield. You need to use him more. You need to run the football,
True.
And you really don't get any type of when Buffalo beat Miami to have Cook's brother, James Cook, get that 50-yard touchdown run in the beginning of the second half. That's rare, right? You run the football to set up for later on in the game. But if you're not running the football, if you're trying to do too many misdirection this, misdirection that, play here, play there, you then end up not letting the offensive line get off the football and establish the line of scrimmage. If you don't do that, then what happens is the defensive line gets excited because, they may get a sack, they'll get like a hurry or a hit or pressure or make the quarterback get spooked, step up, all these things. And what happens is it takes away from your ability later in the game to set them up for the play action or, the screens or, the over the middle, 20 yards and under routes, because they're like, well, shit, these guys are running the football. So why am I gonna do that? Why am I gonna actually think that they're gonna run the football now if they haven't run the football the whole game? So like those play action stuff, it doesn't hold the linebackers. They're dropping. They run the football, whatever, because they haven't done it enough. So what happens is, man, you just end up literally changing the game because the defense starts to get more excited about how they feel because you're not running on them, you're not establishing anything. And then when that happens, man, you're in trouble. They won't beat anybody like me. They lost to the Raiders. Again, the Raiders, man, every quarterback, maybe except for the I tell you, I'm not a Deshaun Watson fan. Good guy, really nice guy, but
he plays
honestly,
for the Browns
again. Exactly. But again, I take Russell Wilson and or Justin Fields. I for God dog was sure would take Burrows, right, over Gardner Minshew, right?
Yeah.
So if you're struggling against Gardner Minshew, what are you going to do against Joe Burrows or Russell Wilson or Justin Fields in like those different packages or anybody that's got an above average quarterback that they're actually doing the schemes and schematics correctly? Well, what happens then?
Right.
So I'm concerned about the Ravens, man, because it's a lot of, again, you got some great teams you got to be playing against. And this is like early in the season, man, but still, you're 0-2. You're already behind the 8 ball, man.
Yep.
You're already behind the 8 ball.
So here's my take. Here's my take real quick on what I see is they've taken the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands. And what I mean by that, they're trying to make him into a quarterback that he's not. And once you take that game plan out of the game, now you have defenses playing you differently. Like, as well as I do that they always have a spy on Lamar because he's always ready to run. And now that they know that he's going to sit there in the pocket and throw the ball, they take the spy off. They add another guy on the defensive line to rush and put more pressure on him. So unless Derrick Henry breaks a 40, 50-yard run and Lamar has some time back there, you're going to continue to see losses.
Yes, because here's what's going to happen. If you don't make the adjustments, you guys said it best, you're going to lose football games. Because what happens is you end up being in a position where people start to realize what you're doing, or more importantly, they're realizing what you're not going to do. And the minute that they realize you're not going to actually establish anything in line of scrimmage, if they realize that Lamar is not going to run, if they realize that, Derrick Henry won't get the ball till a little bit later in the game, all you're doing is playing into their hands. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing.
Yep. All right, Marquise, thank you so much for, come back on Steeler Nation Live. Got a couple books out there, folks. Sleepless Nights and Success Cycle. You can check him out on marquiseogden.com. Motivational speaker. He's got his podcast out there. I highly suggest that you look this guy up and follow him and just listen to what he has to say, because you know what, folks, it's very, very, when you come from somewhere and you can talk the talk. And if you're down there the way he was before and you need some inspiration, it's not over, it's not done yet, check this cat out, man. I'm telling you, marquiseogden.com. Look him up. Marquise, thank you so much once again for coming on Steeler Nation Live. Now we'll come down and see you.
All right, well, hey guys, anytime you guys want to come down and see me, I'm always, you guys are always welcome. I'll be here. I ain't going nowhere. And like I said, I look forward to seeing you guys again. Thanks for having me on the show as always, and you guys keep rocking and rolling.
All right, you're the best, Marquise. Thank you so much, folks. Marquise Ogden.
Yes. That's what it's all about here on Steeler Nation Live. Like I told you, we bring guests on the show. You guys, we don't keep stopping. Every season we get better. What we bring on the show, we try to bring stuff to you guys that, inspirational stuff that'll make you think, stuff that'll make you get your head around it, and also stuff that keeps you thinking as an NFL fan, and especially, James, when you got young guys out there who are trying to, like I said, I'm going to be a football player, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And guys, also, thank you, Marquise Ogden, for being on the show as well. We also want to remind you of a great show we had a couple weeks ago where we had Rocky Bleier, great champion Bleier. Pittsburgh Steeler, on the show. Make sure you guys check that show out as well. Rocky Bleier, James, phenomenal person, phenomenal individual, came on the show. I believe he would have stayed longer on the show
for sure.
And but we kind of ended it because we had other stuff we wanted to talk about. We wanted to get to our stuff for the show, but the thing about it is he came on much gracious to this guy. And like I said, when you're always a Steeler, you're a Steeler for life. And that guy proves it right there, James.
Yeah, Sanders. Well, we have a few minutes left of the show, folks. Our home opener this Sunday, 1:00 against San Diego Chargers. And I said San Diego. You can call them whatever you want. San Diego Chargers. Now, the Chargers are top of the AFC West, tied with the Kansas City Chiefs. Big surprise, right? But the last game that the Chargers played, they played the Carolina Panthers, who were probably going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. They beat them 26-3. And it just, the thing that got them was the running game for the Chargers. So they scored, they had like almost 350 yards on the ground. They only had 3 penalties the whole game. I want to see who this reffing crew was. All right. 3 penalties for the Chargers. They had turned the ball over twice. Justin Herbert only threw the ball 20 times. Well, I guess if you got a running game with Dobbins, I mean, you don't really have to throw the ball. And that's another thing. Control the clock. He was spreading the ball around, throwing to different receivers. So there wasn't like one real receiver that the Pittsburgh Steelers, the San Diego Chargers were thrown to. So the defense had 2 sacks and interceptions. So they're pretty good defense there with Bosa. But you know what? What do you think the score is going to be? What do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers are, number one, Sanders? What their the keys to victory and a score?
Right now, I think the keys to victory are the Steelers have to keep pressure on the young quarterback. Keep pressure. They've been doing it all along. That front of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is playing phenomenal. And right now, the Steelers are doing what they need to do offensively on the side of the ball. is just don't make turnovers. And you know what? How do you move the ball down the field? You move it at 5 yards here, 3 yards there, first down. 5 yards here, 5 yards there, first down. That's how you move the ball downfield. And right now, Justin is doing those things that we need. He's picking up those small passes, getting first downs, or even running for first downs. But right now, I can see this. I can see the Steelers winning this game with a score of like 23-16 or 23-14. I'm going to go with that. We got a caller that's coming in a minute anyway, but we want to get these scores out of the way quick.
So I think home opener for the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's going to be a little shaky at first, okay? It's going to be low-scoring game first quarter, maybe the first half. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, they rub off the jitters, and they take it in the second half. Pittsburgh Steelers is going to open up that offense at home against the Chargers, 27-17. I think we're going to get a couple touchdowns from Justin Fields. Going to throw the ball. Yeah, right now, 27-17. Justin Fields, he's going to throw for 2 touchdowns. Najee's going to get his touchdown and maybe defensive touchdown. 27-17 Pittsburgh Steelers, because the Chargers are 2-0. We're 2-0. So who knows? But I think the defense was going to continue to step up, play as tough as they can. If they can stop the run, if they can stop Dobbins, guaranteed they're going to stop Herbert with the pass blitz and all the schemes that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense does. I mean, to mess up offenses. I think that's what's going to happen. Pittsburgh Steelers 27-17. Folks, you tell me. Put them on the board. Give us a call, 585-210-3917. We still have a few minutes left on the show.
Yeah, that caller that was trying to call in, you can give us a call back. That was my fault. For some reason, they kept cutting out. I don't know what it was. So hopefully we can get you back on. Like we said, call the show. We want to get you guys feedback. What do you think the Steelers are going to do? Are they going to win this thing? They're not going to win this thing. You guys up. I see. I've seen it. We had them trying to get in.
I wonder if it's San Fran Steve trying to get in.
It looks like San Fran Steve up there.
He's like, answer the phone. Yeah.
Yeah. He's ready. He's ready to get it in. So
time to pay Verizon. I know what's going on. Here we go.
Okay. Let's see if we can get him in there. All right. I think we got him. Let's see. I don't know. For some reason he just goes away.
Way to go.
Yeah.
We're not ignoring you.
We're not ignoring you, brother. We're trying to get you in there. For some reason, you got to get the cricket lines connecting with the outside lines. So I think that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But since it might be San Fran Steve, let's talk about that real quick. If all you San Francisco fans, my brother's a San Francisco fan, I texted him earlier just to check on him, make sure everything was all right with those San Francisco 49ers. And James,
I couldn't believe they lost to the Vikings. Yeah. I mean, Vikings are no slouch, and even with McCaffrey out, I mean, they had Jordan Watson. I guess that's his name, the running back to come. They came in, took his place admirably, over 100 yards, a touchdown. I mean, it's not like they're missing their whole offense. I mean, I could be wrong. So I mean, I know they lost.
Yeah, they didn't look too good. They started picking up yards later on in the game, but right now I say the San Francisco 49ers. You know what? They'll figure it out.
Oh, of course.
Will it be enough for these guys to?
It's early
to win. I don't know, because you got a disgruntled tackle. They got, I believe, their offensive tackle. He's not happy right now. You gave Ayuk a lot of money. Kudos to Ayuk. We thought it was going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, and he basically used it as a money ploy.
Yeah,
it's the NFL. You gotta do what you can do.
Deebo Samuel's out, so he should be getting more touches, more throws his way. Who knows? They're focusing on. I think the deal is that they're focusing more on the secondary, thinking that the 49ers have no run game now because of McCaffrey's out, but also that's not working. I mean, they still got a great offensive line. I mean, they run the ball great. They just got to, figure out the injuries.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it comes down to. But what do you see? I'm trying to remember who the San Francisco 49ers. Hey, Steve, San Fran Steve, if you can, could you write on the board who the San Francisco 49ers play next? Because we definitely want to give you a score in that game. And I want to hear what you have for a score in that game coming up with the San Francisco 49ers and their next opponent. But right now, you guys struggled against Sam Darnold. I don't know, brother. Sam Darnold.
And Justin Jefferson, I think he was hurt too.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Oh, it says it keeps on going to voicemail.
Oh, yeah.
Did you pay the bill?
Oh, I paid the Verizon bill. Easy.
Did you pay the bill? Hey, can we call out? Why don't we call out?
Yeah, let's try to give him a call because I'm going to try to get him online. Let's see if we can get him on there. There you go. Let's see. Let's see if we can get San Fran Steve on Steeler Nation Live. Oh, it does say something went wrong, Steve. So right now, while we're talking right here, I'm gonna try to fix this problem right now. So James, right now, I want to bring up a topic for you guys because we here at Steeler Nation Live, we want to make sure we get every call that's supposed to come in because we want to make sure that all you guys with your little teams that watch that aren't going anywhere, we want to see where you're at. So it's going to be here right now on Steeler Nation Live. James,
yes,
the Pittsburgh Steelers, like we said so far, a team that's on the rise, a team that can possibly do some things in the NFL. What do you see as a output right now for the Steelers going into the midseason?
Well, I think the offense is gradually the wheels are turning, not fast enough though, but the wheels are turning. We're heading the right direction. It's just there's so much you have to look forward to with a new offensive coordinator. I'm pretty sure he has a lot of schemes, a lot of plays that he wants to call. He doesn't want to be too, let everybody know what he's doing and just trying to see what works and what doesn't work. And I think as long as we keep on winning, I think it's a good way to go. I mean, I don't want to get, the elephant in the room. I mean, we're not scoring touchdowns. But when you're controlling the game on the ground and you have a very, very good field goal kicker, a very on point field goal kicker, I guess you think you could do more offensively. And if it doesn't work, you got the Wizard of Oz behind you to make sure we get some points, but you can't win football games by kicking field goals. And yes, something has to change. Something has to be updated. Something has to be done, put a little bit more schemes in the offense. I mean, not crazy jet sweeps or some stupid double end around flea flicker mumbo jumbo, but something that will get the defenses on their heels, something that they had never seen before, and something that will work. And you said last show, Sanders, you talked about the old Brady days, what he used to do with his tight ends, with the Gronk.
Right.
And just and the guys coming out of the backfield, just do swing passes, open up the defense. I think Jalen Warren is famous for that. Yards after the catch. I think once you get Najee involved in that as well, get the tight ends involved. Darnell Washington, first tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season as a tight end. I mean, he's a traditional blocking tight end. He's got somewhat good hands. He's a good route runner. He's a big guy. He's got to get the ball. It's going to be hard to tackle him. It's you can't get any simpler than that. But establishing a good, solid run attack. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers do. They're doing enough to move the chains. They're doing enough to run some time off the clock, and they're doing just enough to win ball games. But when is it not going to be just enough? This is how you get losses.
Hello.
Oh, San Fran Steve. I knew we'd get you on. We weren't avoiding you.
What's wrong with your phones?
I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know if it was something with the internet, the way it was hitting the what we use for the phone calls, but we're back on, brother. We wanted to get you on because we know you had a rough week. And
rough week.
Yeah.
I'm ready to fire the head coach already. What the hell is Shanahan doing running Debo up the center, up the middle of the gut?
Yeah,
these 400-pound linemen.
Makes no sense. Well, what's more frustrating? How Shanahan was running the team last week, or how the Satriani or whatever the coach is for the Eagles last night. I'm pretty sure you saw the game. I mean, what's more frustrating? I mean, not frustrated for you that they lost, but as a fan, when you're watching this garbage, what do you do?
That's why I haven't been able to get into this season at all so far. I watch bits and pieces here and there, but it's just like you try to root for a team, and you watch Shanahan that abuses his star players, and that's why they're injured all the time. like McCaffrey. You just can't keep running him 50 times a game, and all of a sudden you think he's going to last the whole season. Running Debo up the center of the gut and expect him to be healthy all season. You know, it's just like they had no priority on Ayuk this offseason. They had no priority on Williams this offseason. The only reason Williams came back, he goes, "Oh, that rookie got shot, and he's back at the facility that inspired me." Is come on, dude. You're looking for more money. Let's put it, make it real. All you wanted was more money, but you know what? You're going to show good faith and say you did it for the Parcells and Ricky boy. And it's just like, you know what? If he does come back this season and he does play well, you know what? That is an inspiration. But you know what? Watching these referees, I think that's the other thing. That's the other thing I really can't. What the Chiefs and the Chiefs and the Bengals game is just like, how do you not throw that call?
The pass
interference.
They're both going for the ball. If you're going to call that pass interference, then what about the Super Bowl against the Seahawks and the Patriots, where it was interception at the goal line, where he knocked the player out of the way and intercepted the ball? I mean, you can't have it both ways. And it just seems that, I mean, it might be a competition with the Major League Baseball umpires and the NFL referees to see who could be the dumbest and who can make the worst calls. Because
didn't I texted you that the other day? It's like, what, does Angel Hernandez go to the NFL now?
Yeah, I mean, you have guys in baseball getting thrown out by the umpire for just shaking their head for a bad call, not saying anything, not doing it. It's just ridiculous.
So unless you're the Chiefs, you're not going to get any calls against you, because you know what, one calls is like, look at this one on Trent Williams. He never held him. Look at this one, and when they slam Bosa to the ground, it's just like, you know what, the referees have to get better. And you know what, if not, we need to go to like referees, just like the Major League Baseball needs to get the guy behind the plate out of there, because I rather watch the ball go through what do you call it? The triangle or the rectangles, and it's like balls or strikes that way. It's just like,
that actually makes sense.
Even in basketball, these referees think they're bigger than the game itself.
Oh, sure, because you could call
it doesn't matter. The only sport that's true is hockey.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, it's cut and dry at hockey. You hit somebody with the stick, slashing. I mean, you punch a guy in the face, fighting. I mean, it's just, I mean, the puck goes in the net, goal. I mean, it's just, but when you get to, like you said, basketball, baseball, football, there's holding on every play on football. Okay, that needs to be fixed.
Oh my God.
It's just, when are they going to throw the flag? It just happens to be on long extended plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers offensively. Or if the offense that the defense is playing against, if they don't make a play, guess what? Oh, they were offsides, or they're in neutral zone, or it was defensive holding, hands to the face, something real stupid. And as long as they have the ability to do that, they're going to continue to do that.
Then, you know what? Maybe it's because I'm too cheap. I didn't buy the NFL package this year, but you know what? You sit here and watch the Giants, who suck worse than the Carolina Panthers. Or watch the Jets, and you get to watch that baby Aaron Rodgers complain about everything else. And then even the local market games after that, it's just like, well, they had. But even on last Monday night, it was the Eagles and against Caleb Williams and the Chicago. This kid doesn't impress me at all.
No.
And he talks so highly of his IQ. Well, maybe he should stop worrying about getting his fingernails painted and pedicured, and start worrying about playing the game of football and running the ball a little bit.
I did see that too.
Yeah, it's just, and he wants his mom to be the coach on the sideline, and his Aunt Matilda, doing foot massages, or I don't know what the hell's going on in the football these days. Right. It's just.
Well, let me ask you this. Hold up now. What
I want to ask you a question. Go you got a question. I got a question too.
Okay. I want to ask you real quick. I want to ask you who do the San Francisco play this Sunday?
Arizona.
Cardinals.
Wow, that's gonna be a good game. That's gonna be a great game. That's gonna be a great game.
Steve, give us a score right now. I got my pencil, and I'm ready, brother.
Let's hear this.
San Fran, Steve.
Man, I hope. You know what? I hope we lose, and we. I don't want to say it. I hope we lose.
You said it. You said it.
Let me tell you, Shanahan can take you to the big game, but he can't coach the big game.
Right.
And for the last 2 years, he has not been able to coach the team that I love.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
He starts choking up.
It's okay. It's okay, San Fran, Steve. It's all right. We got you. We understand. Let's give us a score. What do you got? Do we lose him?
I don't know. Must have lost him.
Oh.
Must have lost him.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I guess it's time to pay some bills.
Hey, we also San Fran, Steve. Like I said, how about you? Give us a score in that game.
Well, I think it's going to be a relatively high scoring game. Believe it or not, I think.
They said, "Don't let him fool you." He's a Bills fan.
I think it's going to be. I think Cardinals squeak it out 34-31.
Woo!
I think the Cardinals squeak it out 34-31.
I'm looking at the way the Cardinals have been rolling right now. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at a score of that game as probably like a. And the Cardinals, they do have a defense.
Yeah, they do.
They do have a defense because they shut the Bills down early on. So I'm looking at a score of like I'll say 20 to 30, and I'm going to give it to the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh boy. Well, before we've extended our stay, but before we go, give us a score for the Chargers game, Steelers Chargers.
I did. I remember I told you it was I think it was 20. When I put it down here.
Oh,
23-14 for me.
Okay.
27-17 for you.
Okay.
And also, hey, while we got a little time, I want to get Cowboy Kenny. If you can, try to make a call in because we want to talk to you about your Cowboys. We got a couple minutes real quick. Get you on, talk about your Cowboys. We talked about the Cowboys at the beginning of the show, and we were kind of miffed at how bad they struggled against the New Orleans Saints. And James, I thought the New Orleans Saints was going to be I thought they were going to be the same old Saints. You know, they played against.
Oh no, the Saints came marching in.
Yep. Who did they play first? They played the Carolina Panthers.
Who dey?
So
no, that's Bengals, right?
No.
Who dey? That's San Fran.
Oh,
I mean, the Saints.
Yep.
Who dey? No.
And the thing about it is, think about it. They blew the doors off the Carolina Panthers, right? So they scored 40-something points. Then they come in, they play the Cowboys in Dallas, and basically, to be honest, it was an even worse whooping because the Cowboys were expected to win.
Oh yeah.
So give
at home. Cowboys at home too.
Oh, I like this, Steve. Steve's not joking today. New power ranking. Steelers are number 12. Disrespectful.
I agree. 12 out of 12 teams.
Oh my God.
We have Titan Mark. Mark from the Titans said, what did he say? He said something about that he's a closet Bills fan.
Yeah.
Stan Fran Steve. Titan Mark. Mark the Titan for checking in.
I don't know if Cowboy Kenny can get in, but the thing about it is, brother, we wanted to try to get you in.
Week.
I don't know what's going on. We got something going on with the phone lines tonight for some reason. After that big call, seems like everything else started slowing down, but we got to make sure that we get you guys.
You got to add minutes. You got to add minutes to the phone. We ran out of minutes.
Oh yeah.
With the phone there.
Ran out of minutes.
Yeah, you have to add more to the card.
Yeah, guys. So, guys, till we see you guys next week here on Steeler Nation Live, it's your boy Sanders Tisdale,
James Owen, and don't forget to check out Marquise Ogden, MarquiseOgden.com. Yeah, Steeler Nation Live. Check us out next week after we talk about our 3-0 beginning to this season.